It's absolutely fantastic to have you here today, and I'm going to talk about how if you can't stay in your posture, if you're standing up in your downswing out of your posture, it actually has nothing to do with your posture and everything to do with your right elbow and your right wrist. And once I show you this trick, it's going to be easy to stay in your posture. Now first, to prove that it's actually your right arm and not your ability to stay in your posture, let me show you how anyone can stay in their posture in just a couple of seconds. Now what I want you to do is take your club and grip all the way up until your thumb and your index finger are on the steel part of the shaft. So basically just grip up on your club about 8 inches or so. My left hand, the tips of my index fingers are on the steel, and I take my right hand, it's going to be completely on the metal of the shaft. So basically what I've done here is I've made a little tiny short club. If you got a little tiny junior club, you can do the same thing, but I recommend using a club that you could hit with. This is a sand wedge. You can do the same thing. I recommend getting a sand wedge, but it works with any club, 9-iron, gap wedge, sand wedge, any of that. I'm going to talk about a little trick here later to get your ball flight right. So if you use a 56, everything's going to match up. Now here, as I choke down, I'm going to set up to this ball, and I'm way bent over. Now when I do this drill and I ask somebody to hit a golf ball, I've yet to see anyone that does this, stands up out of their posture and completely misses that golf ball. What most people will do is they'll just hit a little easy shot. Now you're not going to hit it very far doing that, but you'll stay down in your posture. Now on a little side note, you'll notice that when you're doing this, you can only stay in your posture to about right here in your follow through. So you hit the ball, you're there, you really can't go any farther than that. You're going to notice that you have to stand up out of your posture in the follow through. And that's correct. What you should be doing when you hit a shot, let's say I stay way down in my posture. As I come on through the shot, I'm going to stand straight up, or basically straight up as though I was talking to you. And instead of my spine being completely vertical like this, it's going to be just slightly tilted to the right to where my eyes would be kind of slightly outside my toes if I'm following through. That's how you should do it. Don't try to overdo it and stay way down here into the follow through. Your arms are going to collapse. It's going to be uncomfortable. You might strain your back a little bit, so don't overdo it. Do what's comfortable. If it doesn't feel good to you, just do a little bit less. You don't have to stay that much in your posture to hit fantastic shots. But hit a few like that and you'll notice immediately like my spine angle is way down here. So that shows that you're able to be down there. It's showing that something else is keeping you from doing that. Now with the right arm, in a good golf swing, we all know that we're going to tuck our elbow kind of halfway in the downswing. That elbow is going to be bent. So the angle between my upper arm and my forearm is going to be pretty sharp. Not quite 90 degrees, but fairly sharp there. It's going to be nowhere near this. If I was to throw that right arm or straighten that right arm out, we get the dreaded cast, which is going to be this motion. The elbow pops away from the body, and now all of a sudden I'm casting this club and losing all my lag. So we all know we need to tuck that elbow. We know that we need to have the right wrist back. So what I mean by that is if this is a neutral right wrist, flexion would be toward my body, extension would be back here like this. That's lag. I want to have this angle of lag. So elbow tucked, lag in the downswing. Now the problem is after you get in that position, and maybe if you're struggling to get in that position and have a lot of lag, it's because you feel like you get the power in the swing by releasing the right arm or throwing the right arm. And when I throw the right arm, it makes the club really long. See, if I'm lagging here, like I just showed, and I come to impact in that great in posture position, well, if I stood up here, look how close the club head is to my body, very close. If I throw this right arm and this right wrist, now the right arm's straight, the right wrist is flat, look how much farther away from me that club head is. It's another foot or more away from my body. This is great impact. This is throwing the club, casting. So when I'm farther away from it, well, what do I have to do? I have to stand up out of my posture to be able to hit the ball solid. If I stayed in my posture and threw my right arm, I'd bury the club into the ground so deep I'd dig a giant hole that you could bury a squirrel in. I mean, this thing would be really, really deep. You're not going to do that. Nobody's ever going to do that. So you naturally, to accommodate the right arm throwing, stand up out of your posture. When you try to stay in your posture, it never works because that right arm says, I got to throw to get the speed, and it's going to win out. What we have to do is train the body to get rid of that right arm throw, stay in the posture, and then it's going to flight this shot down. So let's go through a series of drills that are going to help you with that. And it's going to start out with that same drill that I did first. So we're going to choke up on the shaft until the index finger and the thumb are on the steel. Right hand is completely on the metal there. And then I want you to just hit a few shots and get nice and comfortable with this. to get the feel of what it's like to stay in your posture. Like I said, you're only going to be able to make a half backswing and stay down there. If you want to make a full swing coming through, then you're going to have to go ahead and let your body stand up, something like that, and make a full finish. Now, there I'm only hitting these shots 63 yards. You can hit 30, 40 yards. You don't have to do hard at all. Just get used to what your body feels like when you're down there. Now, when I get down there, this is way exaggerated. We're going to get the right amount here in a minute. But when I stay in my posture, what you'll notice is the only way to keep from throwing that club in the ground is to let my body rotate open and let my club shaft lean forward. So what pros are doing is they're taking the natural loft of this club and they're de-lofting it, meaning that the shaft, instead of being vertical at impact, is leaning forward. On average, the loft of a sand wedge, a 56-degree wedge, for a pro at impact is going to be closer to 38 to 40 degrees. So they're taking 16 to 18 degrees of loft off, meaning that club shaft is leaned forward quite a bit like that. Now, that's universal. And in fact, after doing a lot of research and working with pros, I've found that nearly every single professional golfer, every single great player gets their wedges to launch under 30 degrees. And it's like magic when you get under that 30-degree number, because I get my hands in front enough to where my hands are leading the way, my contact is very consistent because the club's just trailing my hands. I de-loft the club, so now it flights down and the wind doesn't really mess it up. My distance is not only going to be much better with my wedges, but it's going to be much more consistent because I don't get those balls that roll up the face and kind of die out of the air, and you just feel like wedge after wedge after wedge is really easy to hit. Now here's a trick that I found that makes this easy to train. So if I'm going to stay in my posture, it goes hand in hand. I got to get rid of the right arm throw. I've got to stay down in my posture, and I've got to get shaft lean and get that low launching 30 degrees. So essentially, if I'm getting that 30 degrees launch and the ball is going nice and straight, I'm not like snap hooking it to get it to launch lower, but I'm hitting it nice and straight, that's going to tell me that I'm in my posture. So what you can do is you take an alignment stick. We have a little setup here where there's a wooden block, a flag holder, so you can adjust that. And then I put an alignment stick in this. Quentin Patterson, one of the instructors that works with me, did this one. Very easy if you want to practice at home. If you're on the range, all you need is the alignment stick. I like to put a pull noodle on it, just so when you hit the stick, because you're going to if you're practicing this the right way, it doesn't break over time. But all I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up this, start this out where my ball would be. So let's say I'm going to hit from there. And if I take whatever length of stick I have, if I rotate it forward twice and then stand it up, the tip of the stick is going to be about 30 degrees. Now, it's going to be perfect if you're using an alignment stick outside, because once you stick it into the ground 4 inches or so, it's going to be exactly 30 degrees. But here, it's going to be a little bit off of that. That's okay. I know the math people out there are going nuts right now. They're saying that's not 30 degrees. They're doing the math. They're figuring it out. It doesn't have to be that precise. This will be slightly over 30 degrees. We're going to be hitting down on this to try to hit this noodle, so you'll be under 30 degrees if you do what I'm saying here. So I'm going to take this forward once. That gets me to there. I'm going to go ahead, rotate it forward again. That gets me just past these golf balls. And I know if I'm right here with this noodle, if I hit the tip of this, or my ball launches, hits the tip of this, that's about 30 degrees, maybe slightly above it with this measurement. Anything below that's going to be under 30 degrees, which is like the golden, you get in that zone, you're going to be hitting it amazing. All right, so now we have a setup automatic feedback. If I can hit that stick or lower on a straight shot, I know I'm staying in my posture. I know I'm getting the shaft lean. You're going to hit some great shots. Step number 1, choke up on the steel shaft and just hit a few shots. Here, I don't care if I hit the stick. I'm just working on staying in my posture. I don't care what I'm doing with my swing yet at all. So there, I hit a little to the right of the stick, but it would have hit the stick. I could see as I rotated through, it would have hit that stick height-wise. I'm going to do the same thing, and you're just going to do a few of those. Same thing as just a little right of it, but it was probably launching around here. And in fact, when I look on my flight scope, it tells me my vertical launch angle was 20.4 degrees. Remember, we just want to be below 30. 27, 28 is ideal. 20 would be overcooking it a little bit. But again, I want to over-exaggerate. I want to get way down there at first. Now, once I get comfortable staying down in my posture, what I want to do is instead of choking up, I want to use my normal grip. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to go ahead and pause at impact with my choked up grip. I'm going to feel, where's my body? Where does my chest feel? I really like to feel like my shirt buttons, so instead of facing out parallel with the ground, if I'm standing straight up and down, they're down toward the ground. So I'll notice when I'm here, my eyes are like perpendicular to the ground, my shirt buttons feel like they're down to the ground, and I'm way down there. Now I'm going to get that feeling and I'm going to hold it for a few seconds. And then I'm going to go back up to my normal posture, take a normal grip, and I'm going to try to recreate the feeling that I just had at impact. Now notice when I do this, if I throw that right arm at all, that thing's getting buried in the ground. In fact, you may chunk a few at first until you get comfortable with this. So I'm going to get like way down there, and I'll have to get a ton of shaft lean, too much. This is way too much, but we're going to exaggerate. When I get a lot of that shaft lean now, that ball is going to launch really low. So we see it's halfway down the stick. That one launched at 18 degrees, right? Way too low. Way over exaggerated. But that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna choke up, get my posture. I'm gonna feel like I go to impact, get the feeling in my body. Then I'm gonna go back to my normal posture, normal grip. I'm gonna try to swing and feel like I get in the same position that I was just in with the short club. There we go, that was absolutely hit fantastic. 22.6 degrees launch, it's a little too low, but nice easy swing. I only swung 70 miles an hour. It went 104 yards with a sand wedge. Let me go ahead and swing one a little harder, and I'll show you just how awesome this is. When I start to swing a little harder, if I de-loft it like that, I'm going to start to get 110, 120 yards with the sand wedge. But notice I'm not swinging at it hard. I'm letting the loft and the correct technique get this ball to go those distances. I'm not trying to do it by muscling it. So there's my little drill. I'm feeling way down by choking up on the shaft. I get that feeling. I take my normal grip. I try to recreate the same thing. 122 yard sand wedge, 23.8 launch. Again, that's overcooked a little bit. If I go over to my computer, I'll show you a little screenshot here. My dynamic loft, meaning the loft that was on my club at impact. Remember, it's a 56 degree wedge. If I look at my last one there, 39 degrees. So I'm overcooking a little bit, maybe 40, 41 degrees would be fine. Anywhere in that ballpark would be great. Again, you're probably not gonna have a $20,000 launch monitor laying around. Just look at your ball as it goes past the stick and see if it's below the tip of the stick and you're doing it right. I'm gonna scoot my stick over so I'll be hitting it. So I get everything lined up. There's a couple more tricks I want to go over here that are going to really help you to get this down. Now, number one, you'll notice when I'm doing this right, that's a lot of shaft lean. I've found for most players it's difficult to set up with the club straight up and down like this, and then at impact get way more shaft lean. I like to go ahead and have the shaft leaning forward almost where it's laying on my left leg at address. I found it just works better for players. When you take your grip, go ahead and get the club shaft where your hand is in front of your left leg at address. You kind of pre-build in some of that shaft lean. Then when you swing, got my stick that time, right? So I know it launched low enough. Sure enough, 21 degrees aloft, and that was 114 yards if it hadn't whacked into the stick there. So presetting that shaft lean helps a lot. Another thing is, if I'm closer to the ball, it's easier to get that shaft lean. It's easier to stay in my posture. So as I scoot up, let's do this. Let's imagine I'm way too close to it and I'm down in my posture. Well, the only way to get to that golf ball, I can't really even get to the golf ball here. I'd have to lean the shaft way in front. That's the only way I could even get my hands to move through impact. So I could still hit this golf ball being this close if I had a ton of shaft lean. Well, as I back up, so we'll do a split view. Notice when my feet back up from this camera angle and my shaft from this camera angle, as I back up, look how that shaft has to straighten out. And if I get farther enough away, it has to be straight up and down to be able to even reach the ball. So get a little bit closer. A little drill there that I like to do. Set the club up to where it's just a little bit toe up, so lower the shaft a little bit. Put it on the left leg, and that's about how far I want you to be away from the ball at address. When you bend forward, your hands are going to bring that club just barely off the left leg, and now you've done it correctly. So ball in the middle of the stance and do that. Now that's going to help you to really exaggerate. Now finally, weight. This is so crucial. You could do all these other things right, but if you don't get this right, you're going to revert back to old habits. if my weight goes on my toes, what does my upper body have to do to stop falling over? So imagine I'm in my posture and I put my weight on my toes. Well, all of a sudden I'm going to fall over this way. So what that means is when my weight goes to my toes, my upper body has to counterbalance that by going back or standing up. So weight toward toes, I have to stand up or I fall over. Weight toward heels, so if I'm going back, especially if I'm face on here, I'm going to go to my left heel, outside of my left heel. So I'm going to feel like I'm putting pressure in these shots into the heel and on the lead side. So I feel like I'm getting my weight to the left as I'm coming through there. Well, as I do that, now notice if I go heel, I can really get in my posture and be balanced. If I had my weight on my heels like this and I stood up, I'd fall backwards the other way. So the weight has to be in the heels. Putting it all together now. We're going to grip up on this short shaft, make a few swings. Then I'm going to go hit a few shots. Then I'm going to go to address. I'm going to feel a good impact. What does it feel like in my body? I'm going to go back to address, and I'm going to try to recreate that feeling I just had of impact. I'm going to be fairly close to it. Shaft on my left leg, weight on my heels, and that's going to allow me, and again, you can get this shaft a little bit lower. I don't want to have the shaft very vertical like this and my feet on it. Notice my feet are about, let's call it 14 inches or so from the ball. So from the ball to my toes is about 13, 14 inches. Shaft forward, and now I feel like I'm going to get on my heels, get a lot of shaft lean, and again, anything under that 30 degrees is going to pretty much be exactly what I want. 25.9 degrees. Very well struck shot, 119 yards with a sand wedge. And it's not like I'm swinging superhuman speeds to get this roughly 120-yard sand wedge. I'm only swinging 81.9 miles an hour. Pretty typical for what a tour player would be doing with a sand wedge. You'll be surprised, even very low speeds. I'll do one more little trick here I'll show you. Even if I swing super slow, watch how far this ball goes when I get the correct impact. All right, little half follow through, half swing. That's a 97-yarder with a sand wedge, 170 yards after it rolled out a little bit. And it's actually not going to roll out as much when you do this because it's going to get more spin on it. I had 70 miles an hour club head speed. Notice how I'm only taking it halfway back and halfway through, and I'm getting that 100 yards with a wedge. Now, there is one more piece of this that's really important, and it's shallowing out that club. If I'm steep, that's another way. If I'm steep and the club keeps on coming down, I'm going to have to stand up to keep from burying in the ground. I want to have that club shallowed out, and you probably noticed that I shallowed out each of these as I swung. If I shallow that club out, then I can come through on a good angle and stay in that posture. Now, one thing I found is that players are rushing their downswing, feeling very quick from the top. And when you do it that way, it also gets the club shaft shallower. I'm going to show you a way to smooth out your transition, because you're going to need to be pretty daggone smooth in transition if you want to get your wedges to be very consistent. And again, once you get this down with your wedges, this carries over into every single club in your bag. This is the start. Then you use middle irons, long irons, drivers. You just exaggerate this a little bit less. So 3-wood's going to have a little less shaft lean. I'm going to be a little higher. But all of these, if I can get it with a sand wedge, I can do it with any club in my bag. But as I get into these other clubs, I need to have a smooth transition. I need to shallow it out. And if you're not doing that, it's going to be impossible to stay in your posture for any of them. I'm going to show you a little secret here that allows you to do both of those things at once. I'll play a preview of a video. All you need to do is click the card, the link that pops up on your screen, or down below in the description, there's a link there. Click that. You'll instantly go to that video and get instant access. I can't wait to share with you how to shallow out that club, smooth out your transition, and I know you're absolutely going to love it. Let's go and get started. Now, the bottom line is that if you pull this club down to ring that bell or pull the hands more from the inside, what's going to happen is you start to rush your downswing from that pulling, and that can throw off your sequence. And we all know that once your sequence gets off, that is going to be the root cause of all your problems. Now, maybe you're being outdriven way too often, or you're terribly inconsistent with your strikes. Some of your shots are heavy, some of them are thin, some of them are off the toe, and then the next ones are way off the heel. Now you end up way over in the trees, you're in the tall grass, or maybe even the hazards all day long, and it really comes down to this. Clay, how in the heck do we fix it? Well, there's some good news. Well, there's only two things that you need to learn. First, you need to learn to shallow the club rather than pulling the hands down and getting the shaft in this steep position. You see, there's another way that the pros do this, and once you start to get that club on this shallower plane, more from the inside, then you pair that up with the right way to square the club face. And once you put these two things together, everything starts to fit in your swing. Now your buddies will start to get a little bit jealous because you'll start hitting solid, longer drives, time after time, and round after round. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the E-slot technique. Let's walk through exactly how to do it. So here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and take a swing to the top and get in a really good position. I want you to feel like your weight is mostly shifted to your right side and that your hips and shoulders are nice and free. I don't want to be locked up here. I want my knees to move, my hips to move. That's going to allow me to swing my shoulders very nicely. Now, one thing that most people get wrong when they swing to the top is they don't get this tilt away from the target. So instead of being straight up and down or leaning to the left, I want to be slightly tilted away in what I call the stable fluid spine in my topspeed golf system. Okay, so now that you're at this great position at the top of the swing, what I want you to do is instead of pulling those arms straight down or ringing the bell, that's going to get the club shaft steep and get this elbow kind of flapping behind your body. I want you to do something very specific. I want you to take the tip of your elbow and move it in a specific way. Now, not this small bone on the inside of your elbow, but I want it to be right here at the tip, and here's what I want you to do.